Just ahead on CTV News tonight, tax relief could soon be coming for PGCPS employees. Plus, the governor makes fighting crime a top priority. And we have the Republican response to the state of the state. Those stories and more, next.
Good evening. This is CTV News for Thursday, February 8th. I'm Mariah Jalad. In Governor Wes Moore's State of the State address yesterday, he outlined his administration's commitment in many areas, including public safety. Moore called it his administration's #1 priority during his address. Moore said crime overall is down statewide, and homicides in Baltimore City are at a 9-year low. The governor is proposing an approach where everyone has a seat at the table.
Our administration will continue an all-of-the-above approach to public safety. We will listen to law enforcement, and we will listen to the communities that they protect. We will listen to states' attorneys, and we will listen to the public defenders. We will listen to elected leaders, and we will listen to local advocates. We're up against a new challenge, and we need to come up with these new solutions. Our state is facing a record of high vacancies in public safety jobs. We need to address them, and we will, with legislation that we've introduced. Marylanders are seeking justice for victims of crime, more accountability for people who break the law, and better rehabilitation for our children. We must answer them, and we will.
The Maryland Republican Party responds to that address yesterday. Senate Minority Leader Steve Hershey says more consequences are needed for violent criminals to prevent Marylanders from becoming victims of crime. The Joint Republican Caucus plans to make public safety and the budget deficit top priorities. It blames the brunt of the deficit on the state's educational reform measure, known as the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. Prince George's school employees who live and work in the county could be getting a property tax credit under a new proposal. Senator Alonzo Washington says the incentive is needed to help recruit and maintain teachers and other school officials. His legislation would only affect Prince George's County.
We actually did this already for our county sheriffs in Prince George's County and our county police officers. And why wouldn't we do it for our teachers and our public school employees? We need to make sure that they move and live here too. We have over 8,000 school system employees in Prince George's County. We want them to move here in the county.
The measure, PG 503, had its first hearing last month before the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee. Meantime, some Maryland lawmakers want to help extend health care to undocumented residents. Members of the Legislative Latino Caucus are backing House Bill 728, known as the Access to Care Act. The measure would require the Maryland Health Benefit Exchange to establish a qualified resident enrollment program. Through the initiative, residents, regardless of their immigration status, will be able to purchase insurance through the state's health exchange.
It basically allows people who are undocumented to actually pay for their own health insurance. As opposed to the state paying for the health insurance, it'll save hundreds of millions of dollars for the state, and it'll provide care, early care, instead of people coming to the emergency room to get care when they're already at full-blown flu or flu-blown COVID, whatever it is. This provides preventative care.
Public health means that the public has to be healthy. And so when you have one segment of the population who's not healthy, who's unable to keep up with regular care, it actually impacts everybody. You can't isolate illness. You can't prevent the spread of viruses and other pathogens. And so it really becomes about caring for everybody.
A hearing on this measure concluded this afternoon. The bill has also been cross-filed in the Senate. Now take a good look at your screen. Greenbelt police need your help identifying this lost child. She was found wandering the 9100 block of Edmonston Road. If you recognize her, please call police at 301-474-7200. A mother has been charged for fatally stabbing her son. 42-year-old Querida Rivera allegedly stabbed her son, 21-year-old Christos Johnson, during a dispute at their home in Lanham. Back in January, officers responded to the 8,000 block of Greenfield Drive. There, they located the victim suffering from a stab wound. He was pronounced dead at a local hospital. Rivera was arrested Wednesday and charged with first-degree murder along with other related charges. Hyattsville police are trying to locate the person who attacked a pregnant woman last month. The video was captured by surveillance camera on the night of January 28th. It happened on the 6400 block of American Boulevard in Hyattsville just after 7:30. Investigators say the suspect punched and kicked the victim in the stomach. EMTs treated the victim at the scene. Anyone who may have information is asked to call Hyattsville Police at 301-985-5060. Still in to come to CTV News, an increase in the child tax credit could be soon coming. We'll have all the details after the break. Stay tuned.
Did you know that air travel is not accessible for wheelchair users, but trains and buses are?
Most Americans don't realize how difficult and how dangerous air travel can be for wheelchair users.
On average, 20 to 30 wheelchairs are damaged or lost by airlines every day. The mental, physical, emotional, and financial toll to follow is just plain wrong.
Paralyzed Veterans of America has been leading the fight for change, but they need your support. Join PVA in the Just Plain Wrong movement.
Join me in supporting Paralyzed Veterans of America.
We can make a difference. Join the fight today.
Help us spread the word by supporting the PVA's Just Plain Wrong campaign.
Join PVA in the fight at pva.org.
Welcome back. The U.S. House recently passed legislation that would expand the child tax credit for Americans. The measure, which has bipartisan support, is part of the Tax Relief for American Families and Workers Act of 2024. The bill, if signed into law, would boost the credit over the next 3 years, helping 16 million children in low-income families.
It'll help, I think it's 38,000 families just in my congressional district, which is sort of the inner half of Prince George's County, lift 38,000 kids out of poverty, and it's millions across the country. So it had been in place in part during the COVID era. It's one of those provisions that we found worked very effectively, and so we wanted to extend it.
The legislation would raise the amount of the credit available as a refund, increasing from $1,800 for 2023 returns to $2,000 in 2025. Households would see an average tax cut of $680 in the first year. The measure now moves to the U.S. Senate, where it faces an uncertain future. A bill that would create a correctional ombudsman is once again on the table. The legislation would provide oversight of the State Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services. It nearly passed unanimously in the Senate last year, but died in a House committee in the final days of the session. This year's version would create the position as an independent operation in state government and not house it within the Attorney General's office. A Hyattsville man receives a 10-year sentence for a series of terrifying taxi driver robberies. 21-year-old Omar Hernandez was sentenced on Tuesday for robbing taxi and rideshare drivers in 3 separate incidents. The robberies occurred between December 2022 and January 2023, all in the Hyattsville area. Hernandez pleaded guilty to 2 robbery charges and use of a handgun in a commission of a crime of violence. He will spend the next 10 years in prison. Prince George's police say a man who was shot last December has now died. The victim has been identified as 26-year-old Johannes Rayner. Officers were called to the 300 block of Possum Court in the unincorporated part of Capitol Hills back on December 22nd. Police found the victim in a car suffering from gunshot wounds. Rayner died on Tuesday, February 6. A $25,000 reward is being offered to anyone with information that leads to an arrest and indictment in this case. And now, here's Simon Buggs with a preview of the Thursday Sports page.
Hey everybody, and coming up in sports, a recap of the PGCC women's basketball game that took place last night. Stay tuned.
You strive to live your best life. You grow, change, and thrive. But you may have questions along the way, especially as you age. Questions that the Elder Care Locator is ready to answer. The Elder Care Locator is your trusted ally, here to connect you to the support you need to age well at home. Whether it's assistance with finding transportation, healthy meals, or other resources in the community, a friendly, caring advisor is happy to help, and our connecting services are just a phone call away. The Elder Care Locator is a team of listeners who understand the challenges you face and can point you in the right direction. We're a gateway to trustworthy local experts in your community who can guide you on your journey to stay healthy, active, and engaged. The Elder Care Locator is here to help you live your best life with real people, real assistance, and real connections. 1-800-677-1116.
Okay, sports fans, it's time for your Thursday sports page.
The PGCC women's basketball squad took the court last night for their 16th game of the season versus Anne Arundel Community College, and the Lady Owls had some nice highlights during the matchup. The Lady Owls did get off to a bit of a slow start though, as they weren't able to get their first bucket of the game until a couple of minutes into the opening period. And their first points of the night came courtesy of this three-pointer made by guard Danielle Ellerby. After the three-pointer hit by Ellerby, the Lady Owls offense started to come alive, hitting shots like another three-pointer from guard Natavia Ross and this tough layup hit by another guard in Khalees Evans as she came off a screen set by Amari Jones. PGCC also showed nice defensive instincts as guard Tamir Washington intercepted a passing lane to get one of her 3 steals in the quarter that resulted in an easy layup for Ross. And the first quarter ended with the Lady Owls being up 27-13 on Anne Arundel. Now to the second quarter, the Lady Owls continued to build their lead, and thanks to shots such as these 2 three-pointers that were made by Ellerby on back-to-back possessions, another three-pointer this time made by forward Lourdes Placencia, and this floater hit by Washington, PGCC went on a 24-10 run and went into halftime up 51-23. The Lady Owls kept their lead for the rest of the game, dominating the Lady Riverhawks 114-48. PGCC will take the court next against Northern Virginia Community College on Tuesday.
And that is your Thursday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thanks, Simon. Now let's get an early look at our weekend weather forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of 36, and it's going to feel like springtime over the next few days. On Friday, not a cloud in the sky, mostly sunny with a high of 60. But Saturday, rain may mess up your weekend plans with a 40% chance of showers and a high of 63. If you're going to any watch parties this Super Bowl Sunday, the weather should be cooperative, mostly cloudy with a high of 57. And that wraps up our CTV News Update. I'm Mariah Jalad. Join us again tomorrow for news that matters to you. Good night.
Us. It's what this country is made of. A helping hand, a shoulder to lean on. Different voices.
Hello.
One sacred bond. But right now, that bond is fraying. Where do we find common ground? How do we get back to us? The why fills the gaps and bridges our divides. Now, more than ever, The Y needs your support. Because where there's a Y, there's an us. For a better us, support your local Y today.